And on today's show, what is a life insurance paramedical exam? Part one of this week's series, Preparing for a Life Insurance Exam with paramedical examiner Kevin Jensen. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Background Technician in Innsmark. Let's get down to business. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Kevin, you've been in this thing for a long time, almost a decade of just taking exams. I mean, how many exams have you done in your career?
Well, we have done numerous over the years, thousands.
Thousands. You've seen so many exams and done so many preps. I'm wondering, when you're regular, who performs the exam itself?
Well, for the exam part of this, for getting that done would be a certified phlebotomist.
Whoa, phlebotomist, now what is that?
Yeah, well, this is somebody that specializes just in drawing blood. This would be somebody that goes to school, that has that stick history of drawing that blood out of the client's arm.
They have to be really good because a lot of clients are kind of like what I would say, they have a little bit of a phobia, right?
Exactly. The needle looks this long sometimes where it's only about that long.
Right, I think I've seen that myself. I don't know why. Now, when we're talking about an exam, when you're talking about it, who does the medical cost? Who picks up the bill for this?
Well, 99% of the time, the carrier of the client who has chosen to have that carrier or that process done through will pay for that. In some cases, the agent can step out and pay for that also, but most of the time it's the carrier.
Well, what is the cost for a typical, let's say a paramed exam that clears the blood, the urine, and maybe an in-house EKG?
You could see the different carrier cost change dramatically across all the carrier ranges. Anywhere down from, let's say for a blood draw, could be $12 to $25 that we would charge. Up to the exam could be anywhere from $35 to $45, $65. The EKG could be up there in the 80 range.
Now that's just doing the exam. That's not sending it to the lab for its results. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of our advisors are curious. So if I have an exam where I'm doing blood, urine, and EKG, you have your costs, what you charge to go and do the job, but then you have to send it on to the lab. So what is the total cost you think in a typical paramed with a blood, urine, and EKG, and they have to ask the part two questions?
I would say around that 125 to 150, right around that range.
And that includes the results and everything?
With the lab cost, with that draw, it's going to be right around that cost.
That, I think it's gotten a little cheaper over the years then, because I thought it was more than that.
Well, over this time, over the years of me being in this business as long as I have, the cost for doing the exam really has come down quite a ways. There's a lot of competition when it comes to doing the draw. So companies like myself communicate with those carriers to do those draws, and it has brought down the price quite dramatically over the years.
Now, I just mentioned the three basic ones. When they're coming in to do an exam, I said, they're going to draw blood. They're going to ask for a urine sample. They're going to lay you down on a floor, the couch, comfortable to have an EKG.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that a normal paramed might do, an ancillary exam or something different than that?
There could be. There's different for the cost of the exam that they're doing. Definitely on the policy amount and on the age of the client will determine what's going to happen during that exam.
So if they have something beyond those three now, can they do anything more than that in a regular paramed exam, or do they have to actually send them to a medical facility?
We do other resources. There's a treadmill EKG that they could do for, depending on, again, that policy amount, where we would send the client to a certified doctor who would do that treadmill. We do long-term care surveys where we'll actually determine if that client, how they're acting in their home. We'll do different tests on them to see how they respond and get that information.
Like a mental acuity of some sort?
Exactly. Maybe how they stand and walk, maybe how they remember. That information is key to that underwriter.
Now, one of the things that I've really liked over the years, I've been in this thing 30 years, I've noticed that the paramed now are taking over all the medical questions. I love that. I don't want to be part of that. I love you guys doing that.
Well, we like to be right there at one time and one visit to get all that information.
When I'm thinking about some of the exams, how long does a typical exam take? I know it's not with just the basic stuff that's being asked. I know they're going to weigh me. I know that they're going to look at my height. And that's critical because, a lot of height and weight ratios, that's an issue. Stand up tall, right? But how long is it going to take a typical paramed service?
For a paramed blood and urine, that exam should take anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes. It shouldn't really go any longer. We want to make sure that that's taken care of. We want to be professional and just get that information from the client. definitely the client being ready for that exam makes that key to getting that done in 25 to 35 minutes.
Now, when I think about prepping for an exam, and we're going to get into this all this week, we're going to talk about all this because everybody really wants to really walk us through this and escort us through the procedures. But when I'm thinking about some of the things that we're looking at as far as taking an exam and preparing for it, I'm thinking about 35 to 45 minutes, but I really appreciate the idea I could do this at my home. I could do this at my office. Maybe I could do it before I work out, not after I work out. You know, I'm just thinking there's a lot of flexibility here. I can do this at different locations to make it really effective for the business person or whoever we're actually examining.
Yeah, you'd be amazed. We've done exams in, of course, the client's home. We've done exams at the broker's office. We've done exams at the doctor's office of the client. They'd like to meet there and possibly have their doctor pull the blood. We've had that before. We've done it on shows, we've done it in baseball, football stadiums, if you can believe that.
Wow. We come back from the break. We're going to talk about some of the ancillary issues that we are going to pull from attending the physician statements, things of that nature. We'll be right back after the break.
It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company.
Welcome back to our second segment. Of course, I'm with Kevin Jensen, and we're talking about paramedical exams, something that you've been doing for 8 years, thousands of exams under your belt. I want to talk about when we order, we're not only ordering blood, urine, EKG, we're doing medical questions, we're doing our height, our weight, we're doing blood pressure. And I'm kind of curious about one little myth. I've always heard, I don't know even know if this is true, I've always heard if you take it out of the left arm, it's better than taking it out of the right arm. Is that a fact or is that a myth?
Well, it's just like the poppy seed is when it comes to, am I going to be on a drug test? The same is there with the arm. Definitely if you have an arm that you're right-handed or left-handed, blood pressure could be a little bit affected, but not much, and I don't think it'd even be something to consider when it comes to the blood draw.
Okay, so really, I've always heard it, so it's pretty much a myth that it's better to take it out of the left arm than it is out of the right
Exactly.
arm. All right, okay, well, that's one myth busting down. I want to talk about, we're going to order physicians, the paramed's going to ask us for all our physicians, their addresses, their phone numbers, and they're going to go to every single physician that we list, and we can't omit it. We can't omit anybody. We have to put everything on there.
Exactly.
Okay, now when you're doing that, you're collecting that information. Now, is that a paramedical service or is that separate from your service? Because you're actually writing the physician down.
Exactly. There's two parts of that. Definitely during the exam, we're getting all that information from the client. We want them to be prepared for that. We want them to have all their doctors, their medications, everything they're taking. Because that's going to assist when that part 2 of that attending physician statement is ordered, because that'll make it easier. And that'll make it quicker for them to get that information back to the underwriter to close that case.
I can't tell you how, again, I said this in the first segment, I think most agents are just like I am, if I can speak for my audience. I love the fact that you guys do all this work and this information. I remember when the clients used to tell me the medication they're on, my misspelling of the pharmaceuticals alone embarrassed me. I'm just saying for my own practice. So we're taking all the information down. And I also noticed lately that some paramedics are asking for, oh, by the way, do you take any vitamins on a regular basis? Do you have a regiment that you're on? And I'm thinking, like, oh, I guess I do. So they want to know everything that you're doing, including my cardiologist, is in Steve Savant's case. He says, oh, I would like you to take an aspirin a day. Well, they want to know about that. So not only my medical that I could see, where I have to go to a pharmacy, but also I have these additional things that they're starting to ask. That's just interesting.
You would be amazed. I've always told a person that if they really want to find out how healthy you are, go write a $1 million life policy on yourself and let that lab do that blood work on you. And the amazing information they come out with doing that process is incredible.
Well, I looked at the Chem 24 exam. I look at my exam every time I have an exam. I really love to see it because it tells me, am I in the normal range or I am in a high risk range? And I just had my physical again this year, blood and urine, the whole thing was great. I love to see this because clients can actually order the results of these exams. Now this is pretty cool. I don't think that, is this part of your, I don't think it's really part of your service. I think the carriers release the information.
Exactly. We get that question all the time. We got to refer them back to their agent or their carrier. That's where they'll get that information from.
Now, I noticed besides the EKG, which is a little different because not everybody gets an EKG, but most people right now, I mean, would you say the basically everybody's going to get an EKG on a paramed now?
I would kind of say probably 50-50, probably even a little bit less. Again, with these requirements changing, you see the treadmills kind of stepping away a little bit, not as many that I've seen in the past, and the EKGs are the same thing, not really needing as many. That's actually came down too.
Have you noticed any place where there's a demarcation line on face amount request that would not require, or parameds start at 100,000 as an example?
Yeah, again, the carrier will have that. So many different requirements between one carrier and another will require different things. One may just require that attending physician statement. Others may require a paramed blood and urine across the board. So they are different with each carrier.
So the amounts could be, so there's no standardization here.
There is not. I've seen a paramed blood and urine done on a $60,000 on a 45-year-old, but I've seen just requirements for an attending physician statement on a $300,000 policy.
I've collected all this information. I have my attending physician statement, I have my blood and urine exam, I have my results from my EKG. Who's getting this information besides the life insurance company?
This information that we're getting is obviously going to come to my company because we're the one collecting it. Secondly, when I send this information out, it's going to go to the lab. So there's going to be 3 basic labs out there that will do the results for the client. After that, then that information then is transferred over to the carrier.
Now I noticed that there's this thing called the Medical Information Bureau that picks up the results of a lot of these exams, a lot of this information, because privacy in this realm of HIPAA has to be huge.
It is gigantic. The information that I have to go and collect, the kind of documentation that I have to show even to a doctor to obtain those records is amazing. The hoops that we have to go through now to get that I think it's very good because it is securing that information. It's made it a little bit harder to get it, but not too hard to get that information to the underwriter.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? Go out to our video archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an educated advisor. I'm Steve Saban. We'll see you tomorrow.